I know that at our last meeting of the minds, we talked about making a video for the EV1000 setup. I just wanted to make a quick video to put on our Facebook page so you guys can reference this if you have to set it up. It's probably a little more helpful than just the drawings we have, but I'll make a picture as well to be able to reference. So basically I'm just going to start with your things that you need for setup. It's pretty simple. You need, for your normal A-line setup, a pressure bag, your fluids, and then your tubing and a cable. You need the special kind of tubing, which is the flow track tubing. That will go to your A-line. So the flow track for the A-line, and then just for your CVP, you're going to need same thing, a pressure bag, saline. You're going to need the regular tubing for the CVP. So I've got that here, and then I usually put the little label on it just because. And then in addition to that, you'll need a pressure cable. I think what trips people up the most is that you need 2 pressure cables, one for your CVP, one for your A-line, just like you would normally set up a separate CVP and arterial line monitoring device. So once you've got all of your equipment, I go ahead and set everything up if it has not already been set up. And then you'll come over to your monitor. Most of us already know how to set up the monitors, but just as a quick review, you just hit this little battery and make sure your arterial line cable is labeled correctly, your CVP line cable is labeled correctly, and that both of your cables are activated. So if not, you just click on them and hit activate. You can also change the label to make sure that they're labeled appropriately. So that's all you have to do on the monitor. Then once you've got both your cables already set up and plugged in, you're going to go ahead and start to connect your EV1000 to your cables. So I already have this set up here. We have our A-line hooked up to a pressure cable and to our monitor, and we can say hypothetically for this scenario our patient was already being monitored from have a CVP being monitored. So the patient already has a CVP hooked up, the cable's hooked up to the CVP. If this gets confusing, I think this is the easiest way to do it. So if you don't know what to do, just hook up an A-line, hook up a normal CVP, just like you regularly would, and then bring your EV1000 in, and it's really easy to do from this setup. So you grab your cables for your EV1000, your arterial line is already set up, your A-line cable plugs into the red port on the flow track. From there, you're just going to plug the green into the green, and then you're going to disconnect your CVP setup, which will leave you with 4 cables, right? There's only one possible way to hook these up, so all 4 cables are plugged in. So your normal CVP setup, you break, and then you just connect them where they fit. So you put the male and the female ends together, just like so. Now both your transducers are together. Every single cord here is attached with the EV1000, and both of these cords come back to the monitor. Again, you need 2 pressure cables in order to get this all set up correctly. From there, you just go ahead and set up your EV1000. So I'm just going to say for hypothetical reasons here, you have a patient that is 72 inches tall, 35 years old, maybe 100 kilograms, and they are male. Once you type in your patient demographic information, their height, weight, age, and gender, then you'll click home and you'll see the setup for both of these things. So all you have to do at this point is 0 both of your transducers. So you want your patient flat because we're doing a CVP. You will level both your transducers at the phlebostatic axis and hit 0 all. Obviously, ours is not going to 0 because we don't have these connected to a patient. When you 0 these, you will also go ahead and 0 them on your monitor as well. Once you hear the 2 beeps, you can set them back up. Plug everything back in. And then you should, if you have these both hooked up to a real patient, see an arterial waveform and a CVP waveform. Sometimes this can be tricky. If you don't have one of your 2 waveforms, all you have to do is unplug everything and replug it back in, and it should work. That's just the closest and easiest way to troubleshoot. So say hypothetically I didn't have my CVP waveform, I just keep everything exactly where it is, unplug it quickly, plug it all back in, make sure all my connections are tightened and that everything's connected at the bottom of the EV1000 as well. And then again, you just keep the patient flat, 0 both of them, which you would do here, and on the monitor, and then you should have waveforms on both fronts. After you've got both of your CVP and A-line 0'd, you just hit home, and then you would see the screen that will pop up with all of your numbers. You do not have to have a CVP in order to hook the patient up to the EV1000. You will not be receiving all of your numbers if you don't have a CVP. But other than that, I think that's pretty much it. I just wanted to go over the cord connections with you guys to make sure that this was a helpful, quick reference. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them below. Thanks so much for your time.